On today's episode of the Command Center podcast, we got Grandpa Peter's cooking.
Good.
Man, it is so good. We talk about all the new faces coming in, the old faces that are coming back. You did such a good job identifying who we are, what we need to be as commanders. And then did Fred take a nap in the parking lot?
No, I failed. My back went out.
His back went out. Is that true story? It all starts right now. Welcome into the Command Center podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss.
Yep.
It is I. No, that is I today, huh? Kept it.
I switch it up.
Dude, you got me.
My white knuckles with grip today.
It is I.
I was dying the last couple times you said that. It messed up my intro. I was waiting for it today.
It is I.
It is the Cadella.
And as always, we are presented by Cognier Technology. Secure today, shape tomorrow. And so today, we are going to do a big, huge, comprehensive free agency review. Kind of talk about maybe some additional moves that we would make in free agency, things they're keeping an eye on. But Fred and I have a bet.
A year's old bet.
It's a year's old bet. It's not quite a year's old yet, just shy of a year.
About a month.
Yeah, about a month shy of a year. And basically what it is we did, Jason, can you help me through this real quick?
So I produced a show with you. It's our Ticket to the Draft podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
And Fred came on last year before the draft.
Challenged him.
You challenge each other to do your guaranteed ballers in the draft.
Yeah.
So now we're a year past, so we can see if your guarantees paid out or not. But you guys made a bet on that podcast on who would have the better or more
What was
ballers.
the bet,
Yeah.
You're about to hear.
I'm glad you asked, Tana.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I was pretty confident.
What's on the line in this bet, Fred?
In a year from now.
A year
to
from now.
this date.
Because it's your birthday, so we'll remember.
To this date, one of us will have to stand up in front of the other one on one knee and say,
Stand up on a knee.
On one knee and say, you, my friend, are the best draft guru in the building.
And I'm nothing. That's it.
And I personally am nothing.
Yes, that's right. So that's
So I gotta find out how you can stand up on one needle. You
gotta have long legs. You gotta have long legs. Like I'm standing on one knee now.
So that's what's on the line. And we decided this is going to be a visual thing. It's better to do visually than podcast. So on the Command Center show that will air on April 17th, right before the draft. Fred, that's also your birthday.
It's my birthday.
So it could be Fred's greatest birthday or worst birthday. Because one of them is going to have to do this on the show. So make sure you tune in, subscribe.
I told Logan to bring his knee pads that he used to play in back in the day. You're going to have to hit that knee and say,
the more I think about this, the more mad I get about it. I'm just like, did I really make that bet? Because I don't need that. I don't need that smoke in my life.
Yes, you do, because you feel very confident in your draft analysis. You feel very confident in your draft breakdown, and then here comes a guru like me who does it off frequency and sound waves and feel, and I do it differently.
So would this be Fred's first win if he does win? Y'all bet quite a few times now.
It seems like every time.
and I don't think he's won one yet.
Because we have yet to go bold.
But the thing I'm worried about, though, is I picked a bunch of guys, and I think a lot of them were injured this year, so I'm just like, and I know Fred picked some outliers, but yeah. So
well, it'd be good if you get a win, bro.
It's about time. Because that's why I say we should have been bold by now.
Yeah.
That would have been a victory, but I must tell y'all this, guys. This weekend, I felt mortality. And this is what I mean. I pulled to a gas station. Right. In the gas station, it was vacuums. So I was like, oh, it's 70 degrees. Let me vacuum the car out. I get out the car, go on the passenger side, put the coins in there, start to vacuum, and my back goes out. Listen.
I knew it.
Santana, I am laying on the ground, on the concrete while cars are passing, not able to move.
Oh, my God.
Listen to me. When I crawled, I didn't even finish vacuuming the car, just threw the vacuum down. I crawled around to the driver's side, got myself into the seat.
I just need to know what gas station so I can get the camera. I want to see the camera.
What's gas station?
It was the BP.
I want to see it.
Right by Phillyco.
They're right there?
Right there. I literally fell to the ground. It was down for like at least 9 minutes.
No one came up to you?
Nobody, not to help me. all they heard in the background was,
Is that true? Did that really happen?
Man, my back went out.
Embarrassing, dog.
Man, it was so embarrassing.
Oh,
and then when I got home, I was like,
It's here.
So I say it's all downhill from now. Like it's no turning back now.
How old are you?
No.
44?
I'm 45.
But your birthday coming up. You're
Yeah,
I'll be 46.
But see, this is the thing. This is why it goes out because he lies so much about the working out he's doing, and then it finally needs to kick in. He can't.
Listen.
He can't help
But for real though,
himself.
you do lie about that shit a lot.
No, I don't. I just rode a bike to West
See, there
Virginia,
you
man.
go.
Didn't even miss a beat. Jeez, man.
Mortality, man.
Mortality. Well, some people that are still incredibly vital,
Yeah,
still young.
in shape.
I just
in
seen a
shape.
70-year-old woman out there doing squats and doing pull-ups. You know what I mean? So, you know, if
In
you-
my back going out at 46.
Back
If
in
you
the car.
talk it with that tongue, you know.
Hey, listen. And I asked for help. I called out.
No, you did
If
not.
there's anybody out there,
Please, no,
help
you
me,
did
please.
not. No, I'm not believing that. I'm not. The fact you crawled is pretty wild.
Listen to me. I'm not playing. When I got home, my kid was like, Daddy, you all right? No. Like, I need help. Like,
So what'd you do?
I literally, like, it took me, because I couldn't sit up in my seat, it took me, like, and this nowhere from my crib, took me like 15 minutes drive.
How you drove
Man,
like this?
yeah, I'm rolling sideways. I was like, I can't. And then I'm like, listen, I'm serious, man.
Only you, dog.
I needed help.
Only
like,
you.
I was like, if I had a life alert right now, I
You
would have
would've
pressed the
pushed it?
button. Because I was horizontal.
Dude, you should have called 911. That'd have been so funny. That'd have been like
I was
such
gonna
a
ask
funny
you where your
headline.
phone was
And you gonna call and say, can I get a copy of it?
I'm damn sure want to see the
Hey,
damn.
but if you would have come, I
the
would have come.
footage.
I would have come helped you.
Hey.
see
I
the
would have
footage.
recorded you, and then I would have come helped you.
Yeah, I would say you
Yeah.
would have most
I'd
definitely
have
took
been
a picture of
recording
me
him while I'm
lying
picking him
there.
up. Look at this food. Look at this food.
Hey, look at
down.
my old
Give me, come on.
friend that-
Give me a hand. Give me a hand. I have my phone with my. Look at this food.
Look at that food. He fall in the parking lot of Harris
This what his ass get for. This what his ass get for always joking on people.
Oh, goodness. All right. We got to call the gas station. We got to call them.
I
See if
got
they got
it. I got it. This is gonna be
anyway.
good podcast footage, man. We
All
need
right.
it.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, we'll see if we can find that footage, track it down for you. Anyway, so we're doing a free agency review. And again, there's a lot of guys that we're really excited to talk about. I'm just going to say the names off real quick. We got Deebo Samuel, Javon Kinlaw, Will Harris, Jonathan Jones, Dietrich Wise, and Eddie Goldman are kind of the
Homeboy.
marquee signings of that group. And so I guess we've already talked a lot about Deebo and what he does for the offense,
Yeah.
but just talking about maybe Adam Peters and his kind of ability to find some pieces,
Yeah.
that weren't on the board initially to start.
I've learned this about Adam Peters. First of all, let grandma cook, hashtag. Second of all,
Copyright.
he's seeing through Jedi mind tricks where other people see this is a slow market, not him. Because he ain't looking at about who's free. He looking at who's on your roster.
Yeah.
He's looking at situations. He literally sat back and watched the Texans last year go on a spending spree because they felt like they was in their wonder, knowing that they were going to have to pay people. And now here it comes. And he says, you know what? Here goes a cap situation. Let me go and take advantage of it. Listen, Adam Peters, Jedi.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous, man. I think when you look back at just some of the things that we did last year, we was able to do last year with those guys that we brought in. We didn't really know, what it was going to look like. We know we brought in a lot of guys on, put them on a 1-year deals, and we was like, hey, a lot of these guys are veterans, so we sure that they can catch on quick. And when you see the talent now, a year later,
Upgraded.
a year later, you're like, wow, and you know what we have here with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You know what we have here with some of the young talent already. So it's just tremendous that you for years we've been saying we need a guy for this job.
Yeah.
For years we need a real guy who's going
That
to
know
be a
what he's
GM
doing.
who
Yeah.
knows how to pick talent, and then you get one, and it's like year one, then missed a beat. Year two, year one he showed all us.
Yeah.
And then year two, haven't missed a beat already. He's gotten off to a good start. So now it's about seeing how these guys are. I guess you can say they fit the puzzle. You see what I'm saying? See where can they slide in and what value do they bring to the team?
Well, just like the great poet Kendrick Lamar said, sometimes you have to just jump out and show people. All right? And that's what he doing.
Fred's feeling himself today. His back's feeling good. We're ready to go.
The back okay today. You remember took some Advil this morning. Took two Advil today to keep the pain away. That's what they say, right?
No, all I'm saying is he was on a mission to upgrade at least every room with one player.
Yeah.
Like, so he's almost pushed where we was last year, pushed everybody down one peg and inserted more talent. Like, that's how you upgrade a roster. I have seen people go out and say, I'm going to upgrade the roster, and all they doing is add names. No, he's adding to an arsenal. And then, let's be honest, he's identified what he wants. Between Kinlaw, Wise, and Goldman, these are mountain of men.
The big dudes.
These are we got bigger in that room. Not only better, we got bigger.
Yeah, let's talk about that defensive line room for a second. Because again, like two guys that I just got to give shout outs to. So Dietrich Wise from the New England Patriots plays defensive end, comes in on third down at defensive tackle, rush inside. Is a big man, 6'5", 285 pounds, big old house. Good against the run, but also can rush the passer a little bit, right? Eddie Goldman, right? I played with him in Chicago for a year in 16. He's a 335-pound, 6'5", like run stopper that's explosive. You can do line stuffs with him and stuff. So I'm just like, look at these two dudes. Like the raising, like one of the issues they had last year was stopping the run, right? So let's go out and find people because there's a schematic element, but there's also a personnel element too, right? So like, I don't want Duran having to eat double teams. I don't want Drazan to have to eat double teams. I can get Eddie Goldman out there, and that's what he is good at.
That's what he's made for.
Let's let him do that. And so I think that's a great point. And then I think the interesting thing about Javon Kinlaw is like, what is his role? Because you watch him on film, crazy explosive, man. Like, explosive.
And I'm looking for him to be more explosive because they asked him to gain 20 pounds in New York because they wanted him to play the point of attack. I'm sure Peter's going to ask him, let's take that 20 pounds back off.
So that's an interesting one because it's like, what do you, because this is to Tana's point, like having a guy at the GM spot and to Fred's point, like that knows what they want and who they want to be. Like Javon Kinlaw is not a great run stopper, but he can rush the passer. So how do you maximize that skill set? Because you do have an athlete who is unequivocally explosive. He's a dynamic dude.
And bad attitude.
Bad attitude?
He's one of these guys show up with a nasty attitude.
Well, you were talking. I didn't watch the interview.
His interview was great.
With Brian Colbert on Next Man Up. You can check it out on the Commander's YouTube page.
Please go watch this interview.
What was so good about it? Just give us a preview.
All right, first of all.
Have you seen it?
First of all, his energy. All right, everything starts with energy. All right. He was homeless. The story, homeless, living in Southeast DC. Like he said, I was born in it when it comes to being part of this fan base. This is all I eat, sleep, and listen. If you feel the intensity coming out of him, you know I want to be in the trenches with him. A dark alley. I want Kinlaw with me.
Well, it's interesting because like Adam knows him from San Francisco. And then obviously. The old coach for the Jets, I forget his name. Ulbrich was the interim coach. He knows Dan Quinn very well. Robert Saleh knows Dan really well, knows Adam really well. They coach together. So they know exactly who this kid is. And there's no doubt in my mind that like that personality, that energy, that competitive fire, that competitive toughness fits in so well with what they've got here. So everyone, I remember I got a lot of questions on Instagram and social media about like, why'd they bring him in? Like he's bad against the run. I don't know why they brought him in, but he's wired the right way, Tana.
Yes, that's why.
And when I watch on film, he's got something to him that hasn't been tapped into yet. And I just look at what this coaching staff did last year. I look at what Darryl Tapp did. I look at what Ryan Kerrigan did. Like, you can get it out of him.
First of all, people ask why we bring in Fowler last year for 10.5 sacks.
So this is what I'd say to you, Tana. This is the other thing is you get in some pieces, right? And you can't keep everybody.
Can't keep everybody.
And you set a value for a player. This is a crazy deep defensive line draft this year. And I think at 29, there's going to be a guy who can make a difference for you.
And the second round and the third round.
So like maybe you're playing like, hey, we've got some really solid pieces. We re-signed Cleveland Farrell. We re-signed Dietrich Wise. We bring in Kinlaw, who we don't really know at this point. There's some rumors circulating that maybe he's going to play like an edge rusher type position, crush the pocket. And then all of a sudden you just need one more dynamic, because you got four right there. And I'm saying one more dynamic piece. So maybe you set a value at him. You exceeded the value. And like that's one of the things you did. Like with Jeremy Chin's a great example of this. It's a technique. You say, hey, go test the market. We think your value is this. If you can get more than that, go for it.
And what if we want to get younger at that position? Like, so I think one thing you love to match up if you want to really do something, you want to make sure your quarterback, which we got that check, and your top pass rusher, you want them to kind of be around the same age.
Free agency can get a little tricky for guys who are not really in tune with how things are done when it comes to, like, I guess you can say, in that room, in that war room, because you forget it's a draft. So you get caught up in the whole
free agent.
We all
frenzy.
do it because I'm sitting there like, but then you think about, oh damn, you just said the draft. You forgot. That's going to be more value out there, younger talent. You know what I mean, guys that you can probably fill in too. So I can, I've heard a lot of people, from just listening to the radio talk about certain guys and some of the people who DM me, and I leave them crickets. Crickets when they DM me because I can't respond to it. But
you use free agency so you don't have to be held prisoner during the draft.
Yeah.
You use free agency so I can go into the draft saying, I'm not a prisoner to no room.
Yeah.
I just want best player.
The best talent available. Yeah.
This what we did, I feel, because we weren't going to find no Larry Tunsil in this year's draft. All right? We probably going to find no Debo Samuels in this year's draft.
Yeah.
So how I look at it is, from what he got us set up as, is truly we can go in there now and just cherry pick talent.
No, I get it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too to keep in mind, this is an interesting kind of something that people don't think about as much, is like when there's a good draft at a certain position. So let's say defensive end, just as an example. More teams draft defensive linemen. That means they also cut veteran defensive linemen.
Yep.
So in that second or third wave of free agency, which is post-draft, there's going to be some good players available, right? Maybe more players that you're willing to spend a little bit more money on, right? So there's multiple opportunities here. Again, like obviously we were bummed Dante's leaving because he had such a great year last year for us. But there's other opportunities to kind of fill those roles with a younger, maybe more talented piece, maybe a piece that fits your culture for a longer window than a year. And I think that's all. And then the other thing too that we haven't talked about is the trade value, right? Obviously Trey Hendrickson as an example is still available. You know what I mean? And so again, I've heard that they're asking crazy price right
I heard
now for
that the price tag is
They definitely going to need some money now because they just gave away a lot of money. So.
Well, that's what happens when you give away $250 million in one room. But now I just think as long as time goes past, that's the less they're going to get for trade. So at one point they have to be realistic on his trade value. And when either a player is unhappy or either a player is being basically held hostage and not going to get paid like Henderson is, your trade value goes down. It doesn't get bigger.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of opportunities to replace some of those pieces, but I do think that the guys they brought in, to Fred's initial point, are guys that are good, competitive, tough football players on the defensive line. Let's talk about the secondary guys real quick. So these are guys we haven't talked about a ton of. Will Harris, safety, was in New Orleans last year. I think he was drafted to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. And then Jonathan Jones, cornerback from the New England Patriots. Little undersized guy. He's like 5'9", like 190 pounds. But ran a 4.3 at the combine, lightning quick. Let's talk about how these guys fit in here. I think Will Harris is maybe the most interesting because we talked about, bringing back Jeremy Chin and how they let him walk. I think he is a very good football player.
He almost remind me of as soon as I saw what we was getting, I'm like, oh man, we just actually lost one and gained one. You know what I mean? Will Harris, and I watched a little bit of him last year. I didn't know what I was paying attention to. Saw flashes of him. But he's violent. And when you talking about how we picking these guys and what we want them to do, Coach said it well. I think I still go back to that first interview with Coach with how he spoke about, our D coordinator spoke about the type of guys he want to bring in here and what he want them to show up to the party with. And man, I saw this dude make a couple of open field tackles, and just not even that, just going down there digging out, linemen and getting to the back.
High energy.
Yeah, he's going to show up at your front door, and he want that smoke.
Hey, put the money in the bag. He that type of dude. Like, he can do pretty much anything you ask him to. Play any safety position. He actually move down in the nickel. Can play the nickel position. So he can basically add to anything or fill in any gap you got. But just go turn on the tape against us last year. If you want to know what you're getting in this player, just go turn on the tape against us. And Jonathan Jones, what you're getting is the constant professional. You're getting a guy that's been there, done that, two-time Super Bowl winner. You're getting a guy that's. The question is, do you move him inside or do you move Mikey Sanders still inside?
I'm curious to see what they do. And again, I think you also re-signed Noah Igbenogany. Congrats, Noah. It's great to have him back. Had a great year last year.
He can move inside.
We got deep. Like our depth is there now. Now you have more bodies at that cornerback. We were talking about we need corners, and to me, I feel like that just solidified us. Our room getting a lot more stronger,
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity to provide some flexibility, some depth, and I do think that Jonathan Jones can play the nickel. He can play outside in a pinch. And so I think about the guy that he's coming in for. It's like Benjamin St. Juste or Davis from last year. And I think unequivocally, he's an upgrade. That's not a knock on those guys. He's just a more established professional.
I'm going to say, like,
well-seasoned, consistent veteran, you know?
Like, he just been there, done it. Like, some stuff, this is not hate. Like, sometimes I'm just reporting the news. I don't make the news. I just report the news. And right now, St. Juste play for the Chargers. I'm glad you reunited with your college coach. You know, he played for Harbaugh. So everybody wins in this thing. But, hey, come on in and welcome home Jonathan Jones to St. Juste. Adios, amigos.
Yeah, and I think he's a heck of a football. I think that's the thing is, Tanny, you said it. Will Harris, really competitive player.
High energy.
I think he adds a little bit, actually. I love Jeremy Chin, but I think he's...
On the cover side, he most definitely does.
I think Will Harris adds a little bit of value there, too. And to get a guy like Jonathan Jones with the experience, the leadership, the ability to kind of mentor a room, I think that's always that's pretty fantastic. So, those are kind of the main like defensive additions, and it does. And people are like, oh, there's no big name in there outside of Kinlaw, maybe. But I think all these guys are really good pros, and they raise the floor. And I think that there's a lot of value in saying this is the floor, and then in the draft, let's see if we can add a little bit of accent.
Add some flavor to it.
Yeah.
Like right now, this is the meat and the bread right here. All right, when we go into the draft, them are the toppings, lettuce, tomato, mayo, mustard. Like make the sandwich taste good. And that's why you don't want to have to go in there and say, oh, we got to leave out of here with a left tackle. And we don't leave out of here with a left tackle. Now you're going to force your way to draft to somebody you probably shouldn't need to draft.
Yeah. And so I guess, let's get into the next segment here. So risk it for the biscuit. Adam Peters keeps cooking.
Yep.
And this segment is always presented by Marsh McLennan Agency, your partner in risk and people strategies. And so we alluded to this already. And one thing we didn't talk about was the Laramie Tunsil trade. And man, like, producer Jason, he sent me like a little GIF, and it's like, there's no good left tackles left on the market, because Ronnie Stanley re-signed, the kid in Jacksonville re-signed, the kid in LA, Alaric Jackson, he re-signed to LA. So it's like, there aren't any good left tackles. Like, what are you going to do? And that's something that really needed to happen. Then Adam Peters like, hold my beer, works out this
hold
trade.
my beer, mine.
And this is like the thing you were talking about at the beginning. Like, it's the free agency's bad, but what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You still got to make the team better.
Yeah.
He literally went and looked at all 32 teams and said, who is in cap hell? All right, one team, the 49ers, I'll take Debo.
Yeah.
Another team, the Texans, I'll take Laramie Tunsil. All right, he looking at situational football. He looking at it bigger. He looking at the fine print. All right, where other people don't see these people need to make a move, he's anticipating them. I got to either make this move now, or I'm going to pay for it later. And I think he looks at teams that's under duress. And got to have cap problems. So that's deeper than everybody would. Because if you asked me 2 weeks ago, could we trade for Tunsil just out the blue? And I'd have been like, we could, but they not.
Yeah.
They're like, it ain't us.
And I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to ask you, Logan, because I think you one of those guys that kind of probably can dive a little deeper into it. What conversation comes up with those GMs to get a guy like Tunsil? Like, especially when you don't hear it. Sometimes you hear the rumblings of Debo might get traded. We didn't hear nothing about Tunsil, and this coming off of last year, the only thing that he had hanging over him was those penalties. You know what I mean? So what kind of conversation you think came up with those guys to get him over here with us?
So I think the one thing that people need to understand is that like everyone's got a price, right? Yeah. And I think what Fred pointed out there is like I need to find the right team. And so if there's a piece that I want with the Houston Texans, I'm going to call them and be like, hey, what would it take to move Laramie? And they probably say, hey, it's going to take a first round pick. You say, oh, we'll call back. Call back and say, how about this? And they say, well, what about this? And then it starts off as we're not going to move them. And then eventually they realize
momentum.
We're having a conversation. We realize that they realize they want it to happen. They realize they can offload an asset, right? And free up some cap room so that they can extend people and get ready for C.J. Stroud and Will Harris.
It's the Derek Stingley deal. That just got signed for $90 million.
It's because of this.
It's because of this. It's because of the Larry Tunsil trade. So they had to free that money. They couldn't. And that's why I say Adam Peters on another level because he's anticipating they got to re-sign Stingley. Well, they can only do that if they free some cap room up. Let me go help them.
So that's what I'm saying. That's the special part of it that a lot of folks don't probably think about. That there's guys that's so special at what they do, especially when it comes to just picking players. You're not sitting there waiting for a guy to say, okay, it's a potential trade.
Yeah.
You know,
Like we're shopping Larry Tunsil.
You're basically looking at everybody's, roster and saying, well,
I'm gonna go
they
start
got to
the
pay
fight.
this guy.
Yeah.
They cap on it here. So let's see if we can get them to budge off of this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it takes a skill for you to have that.
The next team
in-house.
I would look at is the New York Jets. They just cut C.J. Mosley. They cut C.J. Mosley because they got to sign Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking on their roster and see who I like that either needs to be paid or either already got paid.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too. Is like people make these. People think it's like, oh, just because in the news you hear that so and so is available for trade. And I know you guys don't think this way.
Sometimes it don't even be about that. I mean, that be smoke. You know?
Yeah, that'd be the agent storing stuff.
But my point is that like these calls happen almost all the time.
All the time,
Like, do you remember when the 49ers traded for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah. That was like in 2017. Yeah. They initially called about Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they
like,
did.
would you be willing to trade him, and how much would it take?
Yeah.
And they say no, but you call back and they say, well, we are willing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like they call all the time because Tom Brady's getting old. There's a chance he'll move.
Yeah.
Aaron, all these guys, right? Everyone's got a price, and they're gonna, and especially for like an older asset like Mike Evans, I'm sure they field trade talks with him.
Yeah.
All the time, but they want to keep him. So it's just something that happens, and I think it's a testament to Adam Peters and the whole front office, really. Lance Newmark, all those guys up there, that they're able to kind of identify these decisions and then get a package that like works. Let's just review the trade details real quick. So Washington receives Tunsil and a 2024 fourth round pick. Houston receives a 2025 third round pick.
Yep.
I misread that. So it's a 2025 fourth round pick, right? That's the upcoming draft. Yep. And then Houston receives a 2025 third round pick, a 2025 seventh round pick, a 2026 second round pick, and a 2026 fourth round pick. And so what this shows me a couple things. One, that's really good trade value for 2025.
Yes, it is.
Amazing trade value. So basically you're getting Laramie Tunsil for what amounts to a third round pick. Because you're getting a fourth round pick back. Right?
Swap. Basically a pick swap.
That's exactly right. So it's a what? And I would take that,
I'll take that
every single time. I also think you mortgage some 2026 draft capital, and this is just me, just a guy kind of on the couch observing it. And you can go higher with your second round pick. You can go higher with your fourth round pick. Because we need draft assets this year. And then next year
you can always do that. Next year you can always kind of get more.
We're gonna get comp picks. People are gonna leave. We're gonna get opportunities to kind of other people are gonna sign other places, right? And so I look at this and I say to myself, that's smart. Because we know we need 5-6 picks this year
right now
to make this roster better. Put the tomatoes and the lettuce on it. And then next year we can problem solve that with trades of our own. Comp picks, guys leaving that are going to resign other places, because as we get better, that's going to happen more often. Coaches are going to leave, right? We get comp picks for that too. So we'll be able to recuperate some of that draft capital.
And you're not going to find a Pro Bowl left tackle.
That's a great point.
I'm sorry. I love Rhea Campbell. One of the best linemen in this draft. It ain't no guarantee he a Pro Bowler.
There's not even guarantee he's going to play tackle.
Like they saying that them kangaroo arms of his might move him to guard. Like, so all I'm saying is, I don't care. I love draft capital. I love young players, but a guaranteed commodity. At left tackle, like they don't trade left tackles, and left tackles don't usually hit free agency. All right, so this is the football guys shining on us for what happened with Trent Williams. Right? Let's be honest. Them saying, you know what, since y'all gave 49ers Trent for barely nothing, and he's been a super all-pro since he got there. Here go Larry Tunsil to make sure Jedi 5 stays up.
But I wonder how that, and I know we ain't worried about them and what they got going on, but I wonder do that affect what they have in their young quarterback, and just
CJ Stroud?
Just knowing how much potential he showed the first year. And then last year was off year, but it wasn't his fault, I guess you can say, or it may have been his fault a little bit. They say he held on the ball a little bit more.
I think they'll try to replace the tackle with maybe draft the guy.
I think they're going to move.
Always
they're going to move Titus Howard, their right tackle, to left tackle. And then they had a rookie second round pick this year that played a lot for him. And so the one thing, this is something that fans maybe don't understand, but it's important to understand this. Your offensive line coach is your third coordinator, fourth coordinator, right? And when the offensive line struggles the way that it struggled in Houston last year, that guy, the OC, they're not doing a good job insulating that group and having a protection plan. Like that's really what that is about to me, because they're not passing off stunts, they're not handling targets well, like in protection, and that was more of the issue.
Yeah.
You can't pass off a simple ET stunt and it's week 10. Like
This coach.
something's wrong, right?
This coach.
And so, like, I think Laramie's gonna get some heat from that, like as him being responsible for that. And people are worried about CJ Stroud. I think you get a better coach in there, clean up the offensive plan a little bit, and I think you're in a much better spot. So, but yeah, Laramie Tunsil, I think, like you said, Fred, I was trying to think about this the other day. I think he's a top 5 offensive lineman still in the NFL,
No doubt.
specifically tackle. So, I mean, you go Trent, you go Wirfs, you go Johnson, you go Mailata. And you go the kid up in Detroit. What's his name? The right tackle?
Peanut Sewell.
Yeah, Sewell. And then I think you're right there. So 6. I think that's Tunsil. And to get a guy like that, which teams don't give up, there's a couple things teams don't give up in free agency.
Yeah.
Good edge rushers, good tackles, good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So you got to find different ways of getting it. Obviously, the draft is one way. And like Fred said, the draft this year with offensive line's a little bit mixed, especially at 29. So let's ensure that we take care of that resource. Let's just bump Brandon Coleman wherever he's got to go. And we get the best starting 5 on the field. And I don't know, man. It just seems like.
And for the picks that we gave, listen, I wouldn't have been mad if we gave up a first. I would still think he exceeded the value.
But to keep that, though.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To be able to keep your first while getting Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuels in the same free agent period and trade period, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Tanny, you got anything to say about Laramie?
No, that's
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that you're looking for, right? With a young quarterback, offensive lineman, let's get that thing all settled up and be ready to rock and roll.
John Coffey at the tackle. He listen, man. He's a big dude, man.
He's a big dude.
He's a big old man.
And I played with him when I was in Houston. So 2019, we shared a locker, or his locker was right next to mine. I will say a very nice person. I enjoyed my time with him.
Your last year was 2019?
2019.
Damn, Logan.
That young house ain't
Young house.
Yeah.
My back isn't thrown out
I'm gonna
yet.
say I can't wait till you on the ground at Wegmans.
And you just be like, ah!
I told you it was gonna happen.
You ain't gonna get the same as him. See, stuff like that happened to only Fred. That's his payback.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about, so in addition to the Laramie thing, which is absolutely enormous, we talked about the defensive kind of resurgence, renaissance, how that places you in a good position for the draft. We also re-signed a lot of our own pieces. And I think this is also important to Fred's initial point. You want to make sure the scaffolding is there from a free agency standpoint, right? Yeah. And you also want to make sure you got some depth. So let's talk through some stuff. Obviously, we got Bobby Wagner back,
Yellow Jacket.
Marcus Mariota, and Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
And let's talk about those 3 guys real quick, because I really think those guys are important for 2 reasons. 1 is leadership.
Yeah.
2 is what they do for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, a whole lot.
Right. I'm finna say, Bobby literally teaching him how to see through defenses at practice. You might as well call Marcus Mariota Yoda himself, because he's been in his ear since he got here, getting the young Jedi right. And Zach Ertz has been his emergency blanket.
Yeah.
So you're right. These people have layered, and don't forget about the 4th one in there. He not only gave up his number for him, but Tress Way, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Way. All right. So most definitely they helped Jedi 5 get to where he's at.
I was listening to some folks talk about the other day, like how important it is to bring in veteran leadership and what some guys' role is beyond the playing field. And the first person name popped up in my head was Bobby Wagner. Just knowing that, not only we watched him in the middle of games, getting guys in position. Like, I don't know when the last time we saw that happen with us. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it was one of those situations where it talk about ad nauseum how bad we were when it comes to stopping the run.
Yeah.
But the defense as a whole wasn't bad.
They got better week in.
You feel me? So I look at his leadership at the linebacker position for the defense, but not only for the defense, in the big team meeting room as a whole, being that guy, being that voice, being the person that a young Jedi 5 can go to and talk to. You saw him at those basketball games. Him basically teaching him how to be a pro. So, oh man, you can give him every year. He say he want to come back. I'm signing him because I understand that it's more value than just what he brings on the field. And then for him to go out there and get 100-something tackles plus, that just shows you what kind of person he is and player. So I think, man, out of all these guys, I know we're going to get to all these guys, but when the first time I heard that conversation about the veteran leadership and what role they play. Bobby Wagner stood out, man, and just seeing it live and in person, man, it was a joy to watch.
Hey, and Teddy, you were kind of that guy for a long time. And did you have anybody in your career that you were like, this guy kind of did what Bobby did for the team? You know, because those guys are like, I think about Fletch for me. I think about you.
Yeah, Fletch was there for us.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy because when I was in New York, I watched guys like Curtis Martin. I told you, Curtis Martin is the reason why
That's wild,
I was
by
able
the
to
way.
play 14 years. I sit on that table with him in the training room one year. He didn't practice the whole entire year and led the league in rushing. I watched this guy have 2 ankle sprains, 2 high ankle sprains, and he got them treated every day. And he sat there with a pad and a Bible, and he would read his Bible, and he would write notes. And I'm sitting there like, so you know, and he just picking my brain, I'm picking his brain.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with something soft tissue. I think at the time I had either ribs or soft tissue, but he's like, yeah, Tanner, you got to pay to play. He had this real smooth.
Yeah.
It was funny because I remember the guys in the locker room would always, you know, joke with him. They be like, man, you ever went to Curtis' house? Man, I went to Curtis' house, man, and his butler came to the door and was like, Curtis will be with you in a minute. And he's like, it was almost like, you know, I heard some Maxwell playing in the background. He's a smooth brother, bro. He's a smooth, good-looking brother. Pause. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like one of those situations, man. So when you watching them, and I'm a young pup, I'm sitting there like, bro, who this pretty, you know what I mean? The boy got curls in his hair, you know what I mean? And this thing slick, but he get out there and he run that, you say tote that tater?
He tote that tater.
So, but he was one of those guys, him, Marvin Jones, Mo Lewis. We had a bunch of them. You know, who else I had on there? Vincent played safety for us.
Not Troy.
I can't think of his name right now to save my life. But all those guys actually kind of helped mold a young Tanner. So when by the time I learned it and came over here, I was ready. I said, man, this team was kind of young. This team was everywhere. It was guys. I walked out to get ice one day. Guys was running down the hallway to my Tanner, you finna buck curfew? I'm like, this what they doing over here?
Jumping in bushes, everything.
Dudes over here was wild. But I came from New York where everything was kind of policed by the players.
Yeah, because they was on the group.
And we didn't have to worry about the coaches talking, telling us to be in at a certain time. Those guys was gonna make sure you was in there. So
that's cool.
So when I got here, man, and then being just me myself personally, you know what I mean? I think I was kind of brought up that way. Like I'm about
saying, you
business.
was old
I'm like, shut
you was
up,
old
man.
when you were young.
I've always been about my business. You know, I never want to kind of do nothing that's gonna hurt, you know, what puts the food on the table for me and mine. You know what I'm saying? And so when I got here, it was easy for me to, by the time I became that guy, it was easy for me to kind of lead, but I led differently. You know, I was a guy that, it was more so by example.
Yeah.
If I needed to say something, I would say something, but it was very seldom that I did that because it was other guys, like you say, like a Fletch or, you know, we had other guys that would speak out. But, you know, if something needed to be said, yeah, all right, I give my insight. I give my 2 cents, but I'm going to show you on the field. And I think a lot of the players in my room, the receiver room, was able to watch me just go to work.
Yeah. Did you have anybody?
Man,
I mean, watching how you're living now, they didn't do it.
Yeah,
Boy,
listen to me.
He wasn't listening.
From laying in the garage to laying on the floor at the grocery store. All I'm saying is, when I first got here, we was the old folks home to Ashburn. Like, this team was very old.
Yeah.
Like, we brought the youth. So I had Darryl Green in his 18th year, 19th year. And I remember being in awe when I worked in my DB room because I got Dion, I got Champ, I got Darryl Green.
That's pretty wild.
And I'm sitting next to Darryl at our locker. And I'm like, man, how do you start 18 years at cornerback in a row? He was like, Smoot, do you know my backup name? I looked around the locker room. I'm like, nah, now that I think about it, I said, nah, I never know who your backup was. He was like, me neither, because I don't never let him play. He said the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And availability leads to accountability. Right? Accountability leads to you having the ability to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to understand that you cannot have one without the other. Right? Then I had the Bruce Smiths of the world.
Yeah.
I literally, like, offense, I had Big Bell Cow, Big Country, I had Steven Davis over there. Like, I had guys that I could pretty much Keith Mitchell in the linebacker room. I had guys everywhere on this team.
You see how bad my memory is? Victor Green.
Victor Green.
Victor Green was there. Ain't my bad, Victor, man. He was a good guy, too, that I watched in my rookie season, man. He showed me a lot. So.
Oh, no, that was just your CTE acting.
Put it on tape. Cha-ching!
Send that boy's money.
Give me my money.
But yeah, so I think Bobby, I think Marcus, I think Zach, I think Tress are all guys that do that. I think those signings are so important to get those guys back. And then you talk about guys that are going to have probably significant roles on this team. And I would look at John Bates and Noah Brown, our guys that stick out to
Bates
me.
Motel.
Right? And we talked about the importance of having a block and Y in the NFL now. And he does that.
I told you, Bates should send you a Christmas present and a thank you letter. Because Bates just got paid for being a blocking tight end in this league in 2025.
Yeah.
And you, my friend.
You was that guy.
You are the epitome.
The only thing I can say about Bates, he don't wear Timberlands on the field.
Yeah, that's it.
That boy had Timberlands with some screws in the bottom of that thing. Them shoes, shoes about this big. Hey, I looked at Logan one day in the film, lining up, I'm like, big ass joker right here, man. That boy came on that field
like it's 6 L's living in his
Paul
shoe.
Bunyan.
Hey, listen, John Bates owe you a thanks of gratitude. You paid the way for guys like this, but I can say this as a blocker, tight end, he could be the best in the league. When guys go check into Bates Motel, they don't leave.
Yeah, they don't check out.
They don't check out because this guy knows what he's doing, and Noah Brown got everything he deserved.
Hey, for us to get him back, man, I was like, damn, they just kind of just.
It's a little destiny in there.
I'm like, damn, that was good because like I loved everything about what he brought to the team last year. Besides Noah making those clutch catches on third down across the middle, when I don't know how people weren't covering him because I'm like, bruh, we keep going through him. He was getting the most penalties than anybody when it comes to
at least 140-yarder a game.
Every week they was, he was getting the pass interference. So I thought the world about bringing him back and just watching him go down last year because we didn't even know he was hurt when he went down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's good for Noah.
Serious injuries. So unfortunate for him because I don't think he gets paid because of it. But man, he's a good football player. He's physical. He's tough.
His blocking is great too.
Position. And what they need at the position. I think that's the other thing too. Like all these guys are, I'm going to say commanders, right? What did you say? Core commanders?
Core commanders.
Yeah, core commanders. Like that's what they are. And I think like Noah, after watching him, like just how it's in the tape, man. You watch his tape, that's how he is. So it's great to get him back. And then we get some nice depth pieces on the defensive side of the football. Noah Igbenogany, I think, is a huge re-signing, kind of quiet, sneakily there. And then Sheldon Day and Cleveland Farrell all coming back.
Sheldon Day, every time they got on that field, it was Sheldon's day, all right? Because he played some football.
So how would you do it? That number one got to come up. You think he
that's Debo's.
You think he gonna sell it to him?
You think it'll be a negotiation?
It gotta be, right?
Well, they just re-signed him, so I'm not sure you give him back the same number.
No, I've been saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Because the trade for Debo, I think, went through before we re-signed him.
So you think he ain't had a number still?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, hell no.
Once you ain't on the roster,
Coach, let me get my
roster.
Man,
you wasn't on the roster.
Nah, Coach, we can't do it like that.
Hey, if I were Debo time, you would have showed up. I'd be, hey, I'm Debo Samuels.
Had the one on already.
Yeah, what number you gonna wear next year? I hit 2 open since De'Ami gone.
Oh man. Hey,
I can put that 2 on.
Yeah, you put the 2 on.
He could, but that I think he. I don't think he
Damn,
gets
Coach
it, man.
messed his pay up because that's one of them days where that's that hidden money that
they on the count for.
Yeah,
if
man.
I'm kind of hot right now because I did have great negotiation. Like that was the bar was gonna be because I ain't coming in no shorter than 50,000.
Yeah,
right there.
that's what I'm saying. At least
for that one.
Dude, I think he was playing better at 19 though.
I don't got nothing to do with it. He wants this one.
I know he gonna want the one, but I'm just saying, like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're right. It could come up in a couple of times. Like it's a couple of players like numbers might come up and be a theme right now.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm really happy Noah's back. I thought he did a great job playing nickel.
too.
Obviously, like up and down, but I thought played physically, played great in coverage, and was a really nice find. And
he was an asset.
And when you add Jonathan Jones to that secondary group with Lattimore and Mike Sanders,
pushing people down into their right slot. Yeah. Slotting everybody into their right slot.
100%.
It's between a championship roster and a good roster. And the championship roster, everybody's slotted correctly.
And I think when you look at Cleveland Farrell, kind of the same thing. Like him and Dietrich Wise are probably going to be competing for snaps. Yeah, and that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
You don't want Cleveland playing a ton because of the injury history there. He's got that bum knee, but Good player, solid player. I don't solid player. And then obviously you mentioned Sheldon Day and the depth that he provides. So it's great having those guys. And then on the offensive side of the football, we got Jeremy McNichols back, who I am so excited he's back. KJ Osborne, Michael Dieter, and Trent Scott. And that kind of rounds out the depth of the offense.
People just keep forgetting Trent Scott caught the first touchdown.
Yeah.
From old Jedi 5. That's going to be a trivia 5 years from now that everybody gets wrong.
No doubt.
Who caught
Terry McLaurin?
Who caught the first touchdowns of Jaden Daniels? Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown going to be on that list.
Yeah.
And then they're going to see the word Trent and Scott. Nobody's going to pick it. I'll tell you, I can't wait.
That's awesome, man. And so, I mean, Jeremy McNichols, talk about another guy that maybe doesn't get enough credit for the attitude that he brings and the effort, the physical play style. No. And good for him, too, man. Like, I remember when I was with him in San Francisco, like, he'd just been traded from Tampa Bay. Like,
I just keep forgetting how young you are.
I'm young.
Like, because you played with some of these guys, and they're just unbelievable.
Yeah, it is crazy,
like,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's crazy for me because I knew him when he was a rookie, and now he's in year, like, 9.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, like,
time goes, right?
Time goes.
Yeah.
And obviously Trent Scott for that offensive line depth is huge. So really just, I think, a really tremendous job by Adam Peters and his front office in free agency.
Filling out the roster, man.
Filling out the roster, re-sign everybody, man. And, it feels like they've kind of positioned themselves well for the draft, well for that third round of free agency.
And if I could say anything about this group that they bringing in, just attitude.
Yeah.
Like they all visual attitude guys. Like I'm finna inflict upon you. Yeah. So attitude, they brought in attitude.
I mean, they're gonna go out there and get the guys that fit what they're doing. So that's another thing too that stands out to me. We've been here, man. We was bringing guys in that we was like, so what are you gonna do for us? I mean, guys that didn't even fit the scheme.
Didn't even fit the scheme.
You know what I mean?
But his name good.
It's a joy. That's why I say, man, you don't understand how being able to sit back and watch it now, and see somebody do it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you really know, like, a lot of us don't really dive that deep into what's going on outside of what we do. And that was me. I care less about the GMs.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about just the other guys in the building who's doing something outside of what I have to do, my job.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you got one of them minds. You thinking about the damn cook, how he cook this.
Yeah. I'm all over the place.
How the maid vacuum the floor.
Is that pies all in there?
You bothering everybody and anybody. But I personally came here and worked and went home. You see what I'm saying? I came to work. I came with my bearer shoes on, my long Jordan jersey shorts and a hoodie, and I was in and out and a do-rag on. Yeah. That's how I came to work. You know, you play with me. But I never thought about what it took for those guys to go in there and bring the guys.
And figure out the other stuff.
And you saw how many guys we brought in, and you be wondering why that guy we just paid $100 million don't fit our defense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I used to sit there and ask myself,
why we ain't gonna build a defense around him? If you pay him $100
what the hell we brought him in for if he ain't on the field? So now seeing the moves being made, first couple of years of having a real GM here, man, it just shows you, man, like this is why the other teams are successful. This is why the Ravens have been where they've been at for years. Because they had somebody in that position that was able to just say, this is what I do. I know how to go out there and pick the talent, and you guys got to coach them up.
100%. I think that's a good way to end the show, Tana. Great job. Please make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As always, we appreciate the comments. And that's it.